ST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. It feels like yesterday ago that I sat in what is now Looney's in Perry Hall with this guy and Justin Bannon during a playoff week. He was a young guy, and he's now one of the broadcasters on Ravens Radio over at 98 Rock and WBAL. Our friends over there as well. We welcome Jarret Johnson, Double J, back in to discuss what is now an unlikely play-in, win, get to play at home, and maybe even a bye, Double J. These are the good days to be a Festivus fan, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's remarkable to me about this season is the ebbs and the flows and peaks and the valleys of an NFL season, and nothing is more evident of that is the Ravens season this year. Start out, 3-1, this high-flying offense, slinging the ball all over the place, couldn't run the ball, playing really good defense. Then Joe hits a little bit of a slump, and then he gets hurt. And, then they're talking about firing the coach and, all this stuff. And then now they're sitting there, 5-1 the last 6 games, just gashing people in the run and playing great defense. I mean, it's a very, very interesting season. Just from a football fan standpoint, but it's pretty cool to see the evolution of a team throughout a single season.
Well, I write books about this sort of thing and have been doing that from the beginning. This would be a hell of a book. Purple Rain 2 was an incredible book from the Jacoby Jones and Miracles and all that stuff and all those moving parts and Ray coming back. And, it had it all, right? Ed Reed playing in his hometown. It had an incredible bow wrapped on top of it, that Super Bowl. This is just weird all the way around. And to mention the Ravens as a Super Bowl hopeful team is to look at the rest of these teams sort of getting out of the way. Double J, nobody's playing good football right now. Nobody's playing better football than the Ravens right now. And that's all you can ask going into the beginning of the year.
Especially on defense. This team, I don't know what their numbers are exactly, but, they are playing lights out from top to bottom defensively. Getting production from every level, from their veterans to their young guys. They can play coverage. They can rush the passer. It's really, really fun to watch. When you get a defense like that and then an offense that can control the clock and keep you on your toes with all their different type of gadget runs, and then backed with a really, really powerful running back. Nobody wants to play these guys right now.
Did you see any of this? I shouldn't say see it coming, but seeing how, John's saying complimentary football, right? Did you ever envision that this would be something where this offense is built into 2nd and 3 and 2nd and 4, keeping the ball, and then making it easier on the guys on your side of the ball, the Eric Weddles of the world, your buddy, to go out there and play 40, 45 snaps a game instead of 80 or 85 snaps a game,
right?
That it could be effective in this way, that it could be so frustrating for Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers to not touch the football in the second half of a game, and to have their defense out there running around trying to chase this water bug they can't catch,
Yeah. To answer your question, no, I didn't. I said the exact opposite of what the Ravens are doing right now. I wanted them to. I didn't like the Lamar package when Joe was healthy. I thought it was putting a kind of a stick in the spokes, if you will, when Joe was on the field. And then I said the minute that Joe got healthy, that Lamar should sit back on the bench, and I could not have been more wrong. This offense is built to complement this defense, and they're complementing each other. They're maintaining the ball, and as well as they're playing on defense, the best defense is the way we're playing on offense right now, because if you keep superior quarterbacks on the bench, they cannot hurt you. And then when they do come on the field, they're getting hit and they're getting confused and they're throwing picks, and it is just lights out. And then John Harbaugh deserves a ton of credit for not firing that staff last year. The offensive staff is what I'm referring to, because Greg Roman is one of the most creative run coordinators in the league. He was a great offensive coordinator, but the way he draws up runs is unbelievable, and it's a perfect marriage with Lamar Jackson and the type of running game that he brings to the table. If he's not there, I don't know what you get. I don't know what our offense looks like. So John Harbaugh maintaining that offensive coaching staff when everybody in Baltimore was screaming for their heads. And he said, no, I like what we got going. I like what Marty Mornhinweg is doing. I hope he gets the credit he deserves at the end of this season with sticking to his guns and sticking with his staff. And it's played out to work to be a perfect marriage top to bottom.
Double J is here. He is Jarret Johnson. You'll hear him along with Jerry and Justin and everybody else, Kirkster, all those guys over 98 Rock and WBAL at 4:30 and all day on Sundays. They do the coverage, and I love the way they mix it up with you guys. I love running into you guys on the road, and the veteran part of you and knowing what you went through in your dangling year, that you knew they sort of weren't going to pay you, and you had played above your number, and somebody else would value you more than maybe the Ravens could or did, and cap space and all that. What do you make of the Joe thing right now, that I'm still not convinced Joe will not get tapped on the shoulder if they're down 14 points at 6:32 p.m. on Sunday night? Somehow Lamar fumbles the ball or bad things happen. Where's Joe in all of this from the psychology of your mind? Because I know you like Joe as much as I like Joe. And there's a whole part of this to say, well, they made the announcement last week, Harbaugh's staying back, but Joe's going to go quarterback the Dolphins or the Jags, somewhere else next year, I guess. But it's still not over yet, and the end of this story isn't written. And that makes it even more fascinating to me to have a Super Bowl MVP quarterback sitting there waiting to be tapped on the shoulder, if he's ever tapped on the shoulder.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of hoping for that, to be honest with you, personally, because I think a lot of Joe. I think he's done a lot of great things for this team. Yeah, he's played very inconsistent over the past, 4 or 5 years. But I'm kind of hoping for, the kind of situation we saw with the University of Alabama and Jalen, I'm losing my mind.
Train of thought, just keep going.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts, I'm sorry. The quarterback at Alabama got beat out last year, lost his job. Tua Tagovailoa, he's been playing great all year, and then he gets hurt. And what do? They got to go right back to Jalen Hurts to come in and win the game. And he goes in and performs outstanding, leads them to an SEC championship, and takes them into the playoffs. And I'd love to see that same scenario with Joe. That whatever. Now, I'm not saying I don't exactly want it to happen. I don't want anything bad to happen to Lamar, but I think it would just be a cool storyline that the Ravens are down. They got to have a 2-minute offense run by a veteran, gunslinging type quarterback, and Joe comes off the bench and leads them to a win. I think that'd be a cool story from a media standpoint. And it'd be good for his psyche. Where his psyche is right now, he's never been in this situation before. Joe's had the reins since he's walked in the building. Everybody's loved Joe. He's had a tough road as far as coordinators and stuff like that. He's I don't know how many coordinators the guy's played for. He's dealt with his fair share of injuries. But no, I'm hoping this is not the end for Joe. From a cap space standpoint, a business standpoint, past this season, I don't see how Joe can continue the same role under the same contract as he's in now. I mean, it just doesn't happen. But I hope the best for him, and I hope that he gets to go out, leading this team to a win somewhere.
Double J, I was out there in Carson, with both of your former teams, right? And if you had to strap your helmet on Saturday night and go out there and run around again with that Charger bolt on with Phillip Rivers and your buddies out there and chase Lamar Jackson around, tell me what that feels like. From a defensive standpoint, to never have to prepare for this kind of offense, what is it like in a room last week for the Chargers, and what's it like for the Browns from the players' mindset of, hey, we got to stop this guy, we got to contain this guy, you know what he's going to do, now you have to go do it. Yeah, you have to beat him to the spot, right?
Well, I mean, it's the thing that ran me out of this league. I was ready to retire for a lot of reasons, but one of the main ones is just the evolution of football has changed to even in physical plays, it's a very gimmicky, space-oriented game, whereas when I was young and I was being groomed, it was 2-back downhill, very little misdirection. A misdirection play would be a counter play or, something like that. everything was downhill, try to run you over, and I fit that mold. You run into me, I'm going to run into you harder. This game is not like that. This game is built around space and making defensive players get on their heels and react late and make them think more than react, I should say. And this is a very tough. I had to play Denver and Kansas City twice a year. You spent half the time just figuring out who's got the damn football, and then when you did figure it out, it was hard to stop them. So and I didn't like it. So
you preferred seeing Matt Ryan go back and sling it and try to get to him before he got rid of the football, kind of, sort of, right?
I prefer two-back power game. Downhill leados, counter O's.
Well, you preferred it because you saw it 9 out of 10 times, right? Literally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, but this is a totally different game, and playing a team like the Ravens now, they give you a lot to think about pre-snap, just in their motions and their shifts and their alignments, but is backed with a power running game. So you're on your heels looking around, trying to figure out who's got the ball, who went where, who's got the, you got a jet sweep motion. Oh, you got to check to this and pass this off, and all of a sudden you're getting Gus Edwards down your grill. So I'm not saying it's a softer game. It's just a lot more to think of. It's a tougher game to play.
Well, you're also trying to tackle by backing up instead of going forward, kind of, sort of, right?
Yeah, sort of, but they're just getting you on your heels because there's so much to think about. But it's fun to watch. I'm glad I don't have to play against it, especially when you got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson that can run the way he can. I mean, it's not easy to play defense in today's game.
I think the weirdest part is I think I know a lot about football. I know you know more, and I think both of us would have sat here 7 weeks ago saying, there's just no way this is going to happen. You know what I mean? If I would have busted out the news for you, after this Charger game and say, here's the way the next 7 weeks is going to play out, you and I wouldn't have bet a penny on it. I mean, there's just no way it could have worked out this way. And in addition to that, Pittsburgh, New England, these teams, Kansas City and the Chargers, all looking a little defective right now, right, in a lot of different ways, that it feels like this opportunity is here. But this is a much better Cleveland Browns team than any Cleveland Browns team that maybe you saw in your era, JJ.
Possibly. I don't, the numbers-wise, I don't know. I mean, when I watch them play, I'm seeing them get pressure from a lot of different guys. I see them getting pressure a lot of different ways, 4-man rush, games up front, simulated pressures, overload blitzes, cover zero. They run the gamut. They run everything, and they're good at all of them. And then I'm seeing some young guys that can play football. Marlon Humphrey can play football. That guy is a star in the making.
And you're not just saying that because he's from Alabama, because, all you guys are from Alabama.
I mean, it's hard not to talk about a kid from Alabama, especially when every NFL team's got 5 or 6 of them on the roster. but yeah, he's I'll give him the bump because he's from Alabama, but the main thing is the kid can play football. But and then you got Peanut Owasu and this what's the other kid? Young or
Kenny Young, yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're smaller, undersized, dime-style linebackers that can cover anybody. They can cover in space. They can play these jet sweeps that we're seeing all over the place. It is fun to watch these young guys play football. So, where they stack up against the 2000 and the 06 Ravens, I don't know. I don't really care. I don't think they care. I think that they just want to go out and hit people in the mouth, and that's what they do.
Last thing for you, Double J, Eric Weddle, your buddy, and Suggs. By the way, Suggs, game number 229, he has now played more games as a Raven than Ray Lewis. That's kind of an incredible thing. But for the veteran guys hanging on, trying to win, you came to that point in your career where winning was the only reason you're doing it anymore, not about anything else. That's where Eric is, right? And I want it for him. I like him so much, and I think everybody that knows him likes him so much. But this feels like last best sort of chance for him to have a home playoff game next week and go on a run and be the leader of this. I mean, he is the leader of this defense. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun being in a locker room and seeing the difference between the young guys around playoff time and the old guys first. With the old guys, it's a sense of urgency. It's a sense of, they get really, really fired up. The young guys are just kind of happy to be there, and this is cool, and make a little extra playoff money and whatever. The old guys, they don't know how much longer they're going to be there, or if they're ever going to go back, because they know how hard it is to get to the playoffs. So it's. I hope the young guys can look at. I certainly did when I was a young guy, and I got to see old guys and they're crying in the locker room, and just the way they treated the playoffs. I was like, holy cow, it's not a small thing here.
By the way, I had a lot of guys tell me that the scene with Ray Lewis in the trainer's room after the Colts loss really affected them. I've had a lot of guys tell me that they remember that Ray was sobbing so openly that you had to leave. You couldn't even watch him.
Yeah, it's a very personal thing. It's a very emotional thing watching. I mean, because this is guys' life. And it is very, very hard to watch your football life come to an end. And everybody wants it to go out the way that Ray Lewis and Jerome Bettis and all those guys, they want to win a Super Bowl and retire. Nobody gets to do. More guys go to the Hall of Fame than do that. So when you see guys at the end of their career, whether this is their last year or not, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they know that their career is coming to an end, whether it's this year, next year, the year after. You don't know when you're going back to the playoffs. So this is a very emotional thing. Watching your football life come to an end is tough. I mean, I remember I didn't want to walk off the field. It took me forever to take my pads off because I knew that it was going to be the last time I ever put them on. And you're talking about you're playing a sport for 20 years. High school, college, and in the pros. I played for 20 years. And all of a sudden, 20 years is the last time you're going to put them on. It's a very emotional thing. So I hope that the young guys get to see the old guys. I hope they see the emotion and the passion that they bring to these last few games and react positively from it.
Double J is here. Jarret Johnson to be calling the action on Sunday at 98 Rock and WBAL. Make sure you're checking that out. Last thing's the Harbaugh thing and the dangling coach, and he's done a hell of a job, and he would be out of work 5 minutes if he were out of work. Now we're into the negotiation side of this, and jobs like the Packers being open, maybe Miami, maybe Cleveland, who knows. But it's going to be a weird week and a Black Monday for the coaching thing, and Harbaugh factors into that, and the team not having him sign long-term, and how much money Pete Carroll just got, and how much money John Gruden got, and how much money John's brother might get next week coming back into the league. It's something we're going to be talking about, win, lose, or draw, right? I mean, the owner stood in front of the media last year and said, I almost fired John. Well, here's John with an opportunity to go get a $50 or $60 million deal. It's going to be interesting here either way, I think, next couple weeks, JJ.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to take care of John. I mean, I think what he's proved is he's a tough guy. He's a fighter. He's perfect for this team. He's brought this team through a lot, including a Super Bowl championship. So, I think he's going to be fine. I think, the way he's performed, the way he's handled this staff for this past season. I mean, I don't see how you can cut him loose.
He is Jarret Johnson. He is fishing somewhere whenever possible and calling football left or right on the radio dial at the flagship. Always great to catch up with you. Always good to see you. And you predicting an Alabama national championship here just real quickly?
I mean, yeah. It's about an 85% chance they're going to win, so I'm going to stick with them.
Dude, down in Atlanta, I was there for the SEC championship game, and I wound up in the the Georgia hotel, the Bulldogs hotel. That was a very, very lonely place after the game. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, it was.
Be well, JJ. See you soon, man.
All right, have a good one.
Jarret Johnson, Double J, in your program, as well as no confusion. As a Raven or a Charger this week, he's all Ravens calling the game for 98 Rock and seeing him running around out there. So it's always fun to watch him calling the games. He gets amped up on game day. It's always fun talking to him before the games. So one of my favorites, Jarret Johnson. Used to do some radio with him back in the day. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. The buy at Toyota.com audio vault's there 24 hours a day throughout the holiday and into the new year. We're on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram and doing all that good stuff. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.